So in this revision video, we're going to recap the topic factorisation. We've got to first of all remember that factorising is the opposite of expanding brackets. So our job, as soon as we see this word factorise, is to put this into brackets. This first question, you will notice that there is a common letter in both our x squared and 6x. So here, because there is an x common in both terms, we take that outside of our bracket. So just like when you expand brackets, we have got our answer of x squared minus 6x. So we've got to work out what we times by x to get x squared and what we times x by to get to negative 6x. So here we know that we must times it by x to get x squared, and then by negative 6 to get negative 6x. So then we have factorised into single brackets, and we've shown that by reversing our expanding the brackets. So for the second question, I'll again show you using the reverse of the expanding brackets. We have our 5 minus 10m in our answer. We're looking for a common number or letter which goes into both 5 and minus 10m. So we're looking for the highest common factor of those two terms. So again here we can notice that our highest common factor of those two terms is 5. And then 5 times 1 gives us 5, and 5 times negative 2m gives you negative 10m. So therefore your answer is 5 brackets 1 minus 2m. This last one is the hardest one. We are again trying to identify the highest common factor of both terms. So here, not only is it numbers, but it's letters as well. And we can see the highest common factor is 2. There is 1a in both and 1b in both. Then, inside our bracket, 2ab times a gives you 2a squared b plus 3b, because 2ab times 3b gives you 6ab squared, and that would be your final answer. So pause the video now if you would like to have a go at these questions before I go through them. So again, our highest common factor of 6 plus 9x is 3. That leaves us with 2 plus 3x inside our bracket. Part B, we have 7x common in both. That leaves us with 1 minus 4xy. And finally, there is the letter x common in both. Leaves us with x plus 7 inside the bracket. So question 3. This is a quadratic and it's a special case factorisation. It's called the difference of two squares. You'll notice you've got your x squared, your quadratic part, and then you've got a square number at the end. And it's the same method each time for this. It is always x plus and x minus the square root of that number at the end. So the square root of 121 is 11, and that's why it's x plus 11, x minus 11. You can then multiply out your brackets and you would see it would cancel down to that x squared minus 121. So now if you want to have a go at this one before I go through it, pause your video. Okay, so again, difference of two squares. So we start off with our x plus x minus, we square root the number at the end, and we get our answer. So question 5, we've now got a full quadratic. We've got an x squared plus something x plus or minus the number at the end. So we need to remember when we are factorising into double brackets this time, we always times to make the number at the end, and we add to make the number in front of the x. So I always draw out a little table just to make it really clear. So we're timesing to make -4, adding to make +3. I now write down my multiples of -4. So -4 times +1 gives you -4, -1 times +4, and finally -2 times 2. Now we go through and see which ones add together to give +3. Well, -4 plus 1 is -3, so that doesn't work. -1 plus 4 gives you +3, that does work. Let's just rule out this last one. -2 plus 2 is 0. So now we can write in our two answers, and we have fully factorised into our double brackets. Question 2, very similar. We're timesing to make the 6, adding to make the 5. Write down our factors of 6, 6 and 1, 3 and 2. 6 plus 1 is 7 and not 5. 3 plus 2 gives you 5. So therefore your answer is x plus 3, x plus 2. This last question, we're timesing to make the +10, and we're adding to make -7. So, because we know we're trying to add together to give a negative number, but times to get a positive, the only way that is possible is if both answers are negative numbers. So I know if I times -5 times -2, I would get +10. -10 times -1, I would get +10 as well. There are only solutions. So -5 subtract 2 is -7. Let's rule out this last one. -10 subtract another 1 is -11. So therefore our solution is x minus 5, x minus 2. Now is the chance to pause the video if you would like to have a go at these before I work through them. So finally, we're timesing to make +20, adding together to give -9, and we would get the solution x minus 5, x minus 4. Our second question, we're timesing to get +14, adding together to give 9, so it must be x plus 7, x plus 2. And finally, we're timesing to get -10, and we're adding to get -3. So therefore, it must be x minus 5 plus 2. They times together to get -10 and add to get -3.